All right, so we're going to try to make this nice and easy for you. Yes, you have a quadratic. We are graphing quadratics. We're going to do 3 days of them because I'm going to give you a couple of days at the end to make up some work if you need be. So here is our axis of symmetry. This is how we find out our first point, our x point. Notice it says x equals negative b. This is the A. This is the b, and it's the numbers, not the x's and squares and the x's. It's just the number. So it is the opposite, because it's negative b, it's the opposite of b. We have negative 16, so it's going to be 16. 2 times a, well, a is 2, so it is 2 times 2. And all I did is replace the a with the 2, and here we go. So we have 16 over 2 times 2 is 4, and 16 divided by 4 is 4. That's our first number. So if we go to 4 on the x-axis, that's right there. Okay, that is our axis of symmetry if we want to put that down now. But we probably need to find the vertex first. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all the x's here. We're going to change those x's to parentheses. All I did, this x right here was turned into parentheses. This x right here was turned into parentheses. I parenthesed the x's. That's it. Same. So I'm going to put 4 in there. For you guys, I don't know if you can do the squared on that. For you guys here, I know that you can, but you can just do that first. 4 squared, which is just 4, in your calculators, that squared button is right there. That one right there. That's the squared button. You just hit it, hit equals, and it's going to tell you 16. So 2 times 16 minus 16 times 4 plus 33. So what do we do with our calculator? Just enter that all in there. Start entering away. We can get rid of that. There. There we go. So we just enter away. 2. You can put your parentheses, 16 parentheses minus 16 parentheses 4. That all means times. Whoops, there's a 42 there. That's an easy way to do that. You can move back and forth with this key. Plus 33. Hit the equals. The answer is 1. So our vertex is 4, 1. You go to 4 and then up to 1 on the y. So there's our vertex right there. Now we're going to pick another number. You can do 3 or you can do 5 because it's 1 over from each other. I'm going to do 3. It's an easier number to work with. What do I do again? I'm going to change my x's. All I do is change my x's to parentheses, and I'm going to substitute what x is. And if you notice, under x, it's 3. So we're going to put 3 in here. 3 squared is 9. And yes, I need to see this work, okay? And I can enter that in here. Now I can enter it in as times instead of parentheses. 2 times 9 minus 16 times 3 plus 33. If you don't understand that you need 2 times 9 and negative 16 or minus 16 times 3, enter it in with the parentheses. It's the easiest way to do it. If you enter it in just as it sits, and you get 3 as the answer. So I go over here and I write 3. Now, here's the other thing. You guys here with these calculators, you can actually enter in the top one. 2 parentheses 3 parenthesis, you square it. That's the square button. You can see it there. Minus 16 parenthesis 3 parenthesis plus 33. Whoops, did I miss something? Oh, that's a 2 right there. I put 3 in there. 2. And now we got 3. See, that's why this is here. It's great to see. If you come up with a really high number, look to see, make sure you entered it in correctly. And that happens. So there's 3. All right. That's the longest we're going to take on these. 3 and 3. So I go 3 on the X and 3 on the Y. Now, from my vertex, I went up 1, 2, and over 1. So I'm going to go 1, 2, and over 1. Now, here's the thing. You do not draw a straight line. You don't keep going with a slope because this is not a slope. It is a curvy line that goes up and out. And make sure you go all the way to the top. It kind of curves in, but it doesn't go inward. Okay? It goes on forever. So you have an inside of your parabola and you have the outside of your parabola. And you're going to need to know that when we start doing systems of inequalities. So here we go. We're going to move on faster on these so we don't have such a long video time. By the way, f of x actually just means y. Now I'm going to do this twice, aren't I? So what I can do right off the bat is look, I just wrote these out. I took out the x and put parentheses, and I did it twice, gave myself room to work. Now I need to do that in negative b over 2a. So I look, and b is right there, so it's the opposite of 4, which is negative 4. And 2 times, well, it's 1/2. Guys at home, you can put 0.5 if you want to, that your calculator will work on that, because 1 divided by 2 is going to be 0.5. You guys here, you can put 2, go ahead and use the parenthesis if you want to. There's this button right here that has the fraction button, and it's 1, then make sure you move over, and 2, put your parenthesis. Whoops, I don't think I put a parenthesis there, did I? Oh, I forgot to go over. Okay. So 2 parenthesis, 1 move, 2 move, then your parenthesis, and then equals, and you get 1. So negative 4 over 1 is just negative 4. Oops, off the paper. Also, the same thing is you can do 2 times 1, which is 2, and then you can put this over 1. 1 times 2 is 2. You have 2 over 2, which is just 1. You can use 0.5. You can do 1 divided by 2. You get a 0.5, a nice number. You'll get it, okay? So our answer is negative 4. So we're going to put negative 4 in here. Then we can just enter it in our calculator. Half. Notice that I put the half, I pushed right, I did the 2 or the 1, pushed right, did the 2, pushed right, put the parenthesis. And then this is negative 4, don't put minus 4. Then square it. Plus 4, that's negative 4. Plus 7. And we get negative 1. For you guys at home, I don't know if you have the square, you might want to square that first. If you don't have halves, it's 0.5. So here's negative 4 and to negative 1. That's our first point. That is our vertex. We're going to draw our axis of symmetry. What happens on one side happens exactly on the other side. We're going to pick another number, negative 5 or negative 3. I'm going negative 3. So I'm putting negative 3 in here. Now, don't clear your calculator. Don't clear it. Go back, get to that number, hit delete, and hit 3. Go back to this number, hit delete, hit the 3. Guess what? You've got that in there now. Smarter, not harder. Hit equals. And lovely, you're going to get 1. You're going to get negative half. So that means that you're going to go to negative 3 and you're going to go to negative half. Guys, this is negative 1, this is 0, so negative half is going to be right here. I didn't put a whole lot of these in there for you. So what happens is this big sucker, it goes wide. So when we put a half in there, it makes it fatter. When we put a 2 in there, it makes it skinnier, okay? So that's what happens. Negative half. I'm try to get it in the right spot. If you do the math right and you're not sure where a half is, a negative half, we'll get there, okay? All right, let's look at 3. My A, my B, it's the opposite of 12, or negative 12, so it's 12. 2 times negative 3. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. Negative 12, or 12 divided by negative 6 is negative 2. So I put negative 2. What am I going to do? I can do a second one. That's all I did. I took out the x's and I put the x's as parentheses and drop the x's. What's the x I'm going to put in the first one? Negative 2. Take my calculator, negative 3, parenthesis, negative 2, parenthesis. I want to square that. I'm going to do minus 12, not negative 12, minus 12, parenthesis. This is a negative 2 because it's inside the parentheses. And then minus 10. Hit equals, and we get 2. You guys here, use the calculator. I'm fine with that. Otherwise, you have to do the square first, which would give you 4, and then you'd have to do negative 3 times 4, and then negative 12 times 2, and all that. So we go to negative 2 and 2, which is right here. That's our vertex. That's also our axis of symmetry. Our axis of symmetry is that negative 2. That's why I draw a line there. We want to find the next one, and I like negative 1. You could use negative 3. And I'm going to put negative 1 in there. Now, if I want to try to simplify this before I jump all that into the calculator, I would do negative 1 squared first, which is 1. A little easier to enter in the calculator, I suppose, maybe. Let's see, times 1 minus 12 times negative 1 minus 10. And it ends up negative 1. I showed you a couple different ways to enter that into the calculator. So where do I go? Get negative 1, and then I go to negative 1. 1, 2, 3, 1. So I just do the opposite. Look how skinny this is. It's a 3. So don't start bringing it back into itself. You can clearly see they're going up. And you've graphed it. Negative number, it's a 3, so it's skinny. It's negative, it's going down. If it's 3, it would be going up and it would be skinny. If it's a half or a fourth or whatever, it'd be fatter, okay, and whiter. I don't know how many of those I put in there. I wasn't really overly concerned about it. I can go ahead and sit here and redraw these with parentheses. Do it one more time. Here's my A, here's my B. It is negative B over 2A. So my opposite of B is going to be negative 8. I'm going to keep that, so it's going to be 2 times negative 2. Because I'm using A as it sits. That is the only one that gets negative. So 2 times -2 is going to be -4, and -8 divided by -4 is 2. Some of you with absolute value stuff, you were having issues with not using your calculator. You just got to use it, guys. So now you're going to throw 2 in here and just enter it into your calculator, guys. -2 parenthesis 2 parenthesis squared it plus 8 parenthesis 2 parenthesis minus 12. -4. You can see how it was entered in there. All right. So I go to 2. I go to -4 on the y, 2 on the x, 4 on the y. It's right here. That is my axis of symmetry. What happens on one side happens on the other side of it. I'm going to go with the 1. You could go with the 3 or the 1. I'm going to go with 1. It's just the very next number. I prefer the next number lower. I had a kid last year that, or 2 years ago. All he wanted to do was the next number higher. He was just counting. So that's fine. Throw a 1 in there. Now, do not erase your calculator when you go to do the second one. Why? Because all you have to do is cursor over, hit delete, put a 1 in there, cursor back over, delete, put a 1 in there, hit equals, and you get -6. So we're going to go to 1, and then we're going to go to -6, which is right here. We went 1, 2, 1, so we go 1, 2, 1. We come to that vertex and check. It is the first one kind of like a slope, but we don't want to say slope because this is not a straight line. And then we draw our parabola, and this is a freehand. You do not use your straight edge because it's freehand. It's a curve. It's a curving line. All right, there you go. If you have any questions, let me know.